Welcome, everybody. We are so excited to be doing this today and so happy to have all of you joining us to finally cut the ribbon on this beautiful police station and to give you an opportunity to go through and see it and to thank the many, many, many people that made this happen. I'm going to start. The town clerk's office sent me a piece of the transcript of the 1930 town meeting that voted to build the original building. So on June 24th in 1930, 103 town meeting members voted unanimously to build a police station and move the police out of the town hall. Article 2 was to build, furnish, and equip a municipal building for the use of the police department on a parcel located at the corner of Pleasant Street and Concord Avenue. The project included constructing walks and driveways and providing shrubbery, all for the sum of $86,860. $11,860 to be raised by general tax and $75,000 in notes and bonds. Look at what we have accomplished with almost the identical charge, but a little more money. This project was not without its challenges. It's a very problematic site. We were melding old and new buildings. We were coordinating systems. We had to deal with COVID, and there were a lot of unexpected conditions. But we did it. And we did it with the cooperation of absolutely everybody in town. No one that we approached said no to us. They helped us to make it work. And the result is beautiful. We preserved and enhanced the historic building. Please, when you go inside, check out the original maple floors on the second floor. They're gorgeous. We added functional but wonderful space with some very creative engineering. Check out the seismic seam between the old and the new buildings on the second floor. And we are so proud of what we have accomplished for the police department and for the town. And we did it without a debt exclusion, no new taxes. Yay. We are ending in the black. We may only have 58 cents left over, but we're in the black. That's all that matters. I would like to, very quickly, but this is important, thank so many of the people who made this possible, starting with my building committee. They are awesome, to a person. They gave their time, their treasure, and their talent generously and without hesitation. Thank you to Mike Widmer for assembling this awesome building committee. Thank you to the many town departments, boards, and Patrice for all of their cooperation, but mostly for their money. Floyd Carmen for his creative financing, town meeting, the capital budget committee, and the warrant committee for supporting the project and giving us funding. The select board for their support, especially with the police temporary location down off of Waverly Street. Community development, the inspectors, the planning board, the zoning board, historic district commission, and the CBC for both their advice and support, but also community preservation for their funds. We thank the town clerk's office for all their notices and all their communication for us. Facilities department for all their coordination with all of our systems and all of our needs. The police, especially the police, throughout all of this. Chief Richard McLaughlin, Chief Jamie MacIsaac, Assistant Chief Mark Hurley, and John Steves. Very few of you know John Steves. This is a guy that none of this would happen without. He's one of those people behind the scenes you just can't function without. A special shout out to the Watertown Police Department, who allowed us to house our prisoners there for more than 18 months. Special thanks to the DPW, Mike Santoro and Jay Marcotte. They never denied a request from us, and they did it instantly. Thank you to both Bruce Flett and Rob Brown, who stepped in and helped us when we needed it. To the Belmont Citizen Herald and Belmontonian for your wonderful coverage. And finally, to our donors, who gave so generously to make this happen. The Belmont Savings Bank Foundation for $100,000 for our lockers, and the 30 donors who generously donated to form and create the beautiful Lane Cafe. I thank Steve Rosales for putting it all together. I especially thank the Stanton Foundation and the Allisons for their donations, to Richie Lane's family, friends, colleagues, and even some of his DARE students. And finally, the Police Patrolmen's Association for their support. I thank Roger Colton and Anne Luget for the gift of the trees that you see here around the property. And to those donors who just gave to us with no restrictions whatsoever. Finally, to my extended family who stepped up when the flagpole, brick walkway, and lights were going to be cut from the project. They stepped up and donated in honor of my late husband, and I appreciate that the police accepted that donation very graciously. To Ted Galante, our architect, awesome design, unbelievable creative problem solving. To Tom Gatsounis and his team, Sydney, Megan, for their diligent oversight, cash flow, and their friendship. To John Lebica for the day-to-day, his ever-present optimism, he just made it work. To Donna and the accountant's office, along with Matt Haskell and Glenn Castro, for always keeping track of our invoices and our cash flow. And finally, to GVW, the general contractor. To the owner, GV, to Mike Finnegan, who was our day-to-day person, and to Tim Costin. They did an awesome job. All of us on this building committee have been involved in other projects, and we've all had our experiences with contractors. Our experience with GVW was so positive and so cooperative. They were absolutely a part of the team, and they made this building what it is today. Okay, that's all my thanks. I have a couple of other people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, who are going to speak, and then the Lane family is going to peel off, and they're going to do a little ribbon cutting at the Lane Cafe. Meanwhile, we'll be doing our ribbon cutting here. We have some cake for you, and at the end of these speakers, Jamie MacIsaac is going to explain to you how the tours are going to work. So let me now turn this over to Roy Epstein from the Select Board.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out. This is a very proud day for Belmont. It's a proud day for the Select Board. And speaking for the Select Board, I'm just delighted that we got this far. I see Mark Paolillo is here. Hi, Mark. I don't know if Adam could make it today, but, yeah. Louder? I see Mike Smith saying I should be louder. Oh. Okay, I won't start over, but I'll keep going. So I wanted to thank everybody that Anne Marie mentioned. It's a long list of characters, but also Mark, because this process started for real when the Select Board got the initial study group going 3 or 4 years ago when Mark was on the board. My own involvement with this, I should say my own awareness of the police station started about 15 years ago when I went to meetings in town halls saying, what are we going to do about the police station? Well, at the time, not much. 10 years went by, and we revisited the question. It was my honor to be part of the building committee when it first formed in 2018, I think. And the result is fantastic. It's a blending of the old and the new, and it's a model of what Belmont should be, I think. It's taking the best of the old and adding something brilliant that's new, and the result is beautiful, and I'm sure we'll get many, many years out of this. I want to thank again Ted Galante, because when the building committee started, we didn't know that we would get this far. We thought, well, we would try to put some Band-Aids on the original structure, hope to get a couple of years out of it, and then go to some plan B. But it was Ted who had the vision for revamping the building in the way that you'll see when you go inside, to remove an entire floor in the back, add something new in a way that's almost unnoticeable, but it's brilliant in how it provides additional space and takes a building from 1930 and makes it a completely modern structure. It's just fantastic, and you'll be very impressed when you go in. So thank you again for everybody's support, town meeting, for the money, and everybody else that Anne Marie listed. It's a long list. You'd be surprised at the agony that goes in a building committee, because we had to make many decisions, and at each point thinking, can we really do this for the money? But at the end we did, and as Anne Marie is about right, we do have 58 cents left over, and we will return that to the town. Thank you very much.
Yes, we do want to make sure everyone understands that 58 cents does go back to the town. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ted Galante, our architect, for a couple of comments.
Good afternoon. For me, the best part of this project is I'm still not in handcuffs. I don't, somehow Chief MacIsaac has befriended me and we don't have that problem. No, it's a once in a lifetime chance to do a building like this for a town like Belmont, preserving this building and potentially expanding the Historic District Commission, which would be the ideal scenario in my mind, and breathing new life into a building that really had seen itself, the department grow around it and the building did not grow with it, right? The net result is we were able to double the building in size, do it in a way that was cost effective. We believe saving the town $30 million. Reports just this week, our construction costs are going up another 15% just this year. Reusing existing building stock, expanding building stock, and turning it into something that can really last and have endurance is essential for a town. So we were grateful to be part of the project. I triple thank the others that both Roy and Anne-Marie did. It has been truly a team effort, and we're grateful to have been part of it. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Now I'm going to ask if Mike Finnegan from GVW Construction could say a few words. He's been our week-to-week person. Every week faithfully on Wednesday morning, either in person or Zooming, we've been dealing with Mike.
What's the 2-week look ahead, Mike?
Yeah, right. Give us the 2 weeks.
I won't keep you long. I'd just like to thank everybody that was involved in the project. This was one of those projects that the entire team worked together on. The design team, the owner's project manager, the police department, and most importantly, the building committee. It was a pleasure to work here, and we're glad that the job turned out as well as we think it did. Thank you.
Very good, thanks. I'm going to invite Rich McLaughlin to come up just to say a few words about Ritchie Lane before Steve explains what we've done with formerly the kitchen to turn it into the Lane Cafe.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. And I was told to be brief, so I'm going to be as brief as I can. But good afternoon, and thank you all for coming, especially Carol, Brian, Maria, Jack, and Barbara. And as I said, I was asked to be brief, and so here it goes. Today we're here to recognize and honor the memory and to dedicate an area within the newly renovated Belmont Police Station to a great friend and colleague, Assistant Chief Richard J. Lane. The area which is now known as the Richard J. Lane Cafe. Just to touch on Richie, the person and police officer. I would describe Richie as a consummate professional, an extremely passionate person, always looking to take care of the less fortunate, and as we say, a cop's cop. A person you knew you could count on to get the job done, and always doing the right thing. He truly loved being a police officer and everything it stood for, and he showed it each and every day. Everyone was aware Richie had his official office on the second floor, but I can honestly tell you, especially during my tenure, I would describe the now Richard J. Lane Cafe as Richie's unofficial office. I know personally we had many meetings within this area. We would sit around the table and talk about the issues of the day or something that would be coming up in the future. I'm very happy that we have dedicated this area to the memory of our great friend and police officer, Assistant Chief Richard J. Lane. Thank you.
Very good. Now I'll turn it over to Steve Rosales, and I've told him short. Steve, keep it short.
This is short for me. In a break from protocol, Anne-Marie and the others stood up here to thank a whole slew of people to make this project possible, but she left herself out. So can we please give a rousing thank you to Anne-Marie Mahoney. Come out here. Anne-Marie Mahoney, who is the chairwoman of this whole project, and without whom this would not be here. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you all for coming for the dedication of the Richard J. Lane Cafe. I knew Richie for over 60 years when I first moved here to Belmont. Him and Dante Mezzioli were the first two people I met here in town. And he's one of my dearest friends. He was the best man at my wedding, and to my 3 daughters, he wasn't Mr. Lane, he was Uncle Rich. He always wanted to be a police officer, but his untimely passing coincided with the renovation of this historic police station. The original plan was to leave the existing break room in the exact same condition it was at the start of the project. Untouched, no paint, everything exactly as it was, because it wasn't in the scope and we didn't have any money to do it. His passing gave me an idea and an opportunity to memorialize our friend and dedicated officer in some way in this renovated station. After speaking with his wife and family and conferring with many of his fellow officers, and with the unanimous support of the town, their officials, and the building committee, it is fitting and right to honor him by giving the police department this new break room. So the word went out, and boy, did people respond, donating tens of thousands of dollars in amounts big and small from groups and private individuals to make the Richard Lane Cafe a reality. I want to thank all of you that dug deep and remembered and put this into being. When you take a tour, you're going to see new paint, new floors, new ceilings, new windows, new cabinets, new appliances, new fire suppression for the fire department here, new fire suppression. All accented by a beautiful sliding solid oaken door, entirely new. We are honored and gratified to have his family with us today. His wife, Carol, his son, Brian, and his fiancée, Maria, his brother, Jack, and his longtime partner, Carol, his sister, Barbara, and his nephews, Sergey and Eric. Now, Richie, he set a high bar of excellence, not only in his personal endeavors, but also, more so, as a police officer. He held virtually every position you could hold here in the department, from patrolman to acting chief. And he did so with a passion and a commitment to excellence throughout his distinguished career. A longtime fellow police officer once told me that he modeled himself after Richie Lane, that Richie Lane was everything a police officer should be. He went on to tell me that he would lecture his young officers that there were some officers they should model themselves after, and there were some that they should not. And he would tell them and point to Richie Lane and say, that's the officer you should emulate. He was supported when needed. He was empathetic when called for, yet stern when necessary. Today we dedicate the Richard J. Lane Cafe at the Belmont Police Department in his honor and memory. May this Lane Cafe serve as a constant reminder to every brother and sister in blue from this day forward of that standard of excellence that Richie set for the Belmont Police Department. It may look like just a bright, shiny new cafe, but it is so much more than that. Let it now be known that from this day forward, every cup of coffee, every lunch or dinner break, every gathering that takes place in the Lane Cafe by every officer on patrol, superior officer, or staff will be reminded, a small, constant reminder of how to be the best that they could be, to adhere to that high standard of excellence that Richie set, of compassion, of duty, of honor, and of service to this community that Richie set in his long and illustrious career. And to do all that with a smile, his trademark Richie Lane smile that we all knew and loved, and he was known for. So with that, thank you for coming as we dedicate the cafe. And on behalf of the Lane family, I'll invite his brother Jack to the podium for a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. First, I want to say that it is tremendous to see this new building being dedicated today. I grew up in this town. Never been inside the police station, however, just in case you're wondering. But it is fantastic, and it does go with the adage that it does take a village to build something like this. So to all of you who are involved with this, congratulations on this incredible accomplishment and coming in under budget. So, my name is Jack, and I want to say that Carol, Brian, Barbara, my sister, and I would like to thank all of you who are here today. It's a very meaningful day for all of us. I want to thank Chief MacIsaac and the Belmont Police Department, former Chief McLaughlin, for what you have done today. Bear with me. And what you've done for Carol and Brian this past year. I also want to thank the Belmont Select Board, especially Mark Polillo, for this day, as well as Stephen Rosales, for all that you have done to establish this remembrance. We know that Richie has many friends and meaningful people in his life, and Mark and Stephen are but two. There are so many others. In fact, Mark and Stephen, as Stephen was mentioning, go back 60 years together. They have a bond of friendship that is just remarkable. And every year for over 30, I'm not exactly sure how many, they would go to play golf at a boys' weekend. And I was invited to go to this weekend this past September in remembrance of Rich. Now, they didn't let me stay the whole weekend. They just let me stay one day. But I'm going to build up on that. I see. And the pressure was building because I played golf many, many times with my brother, and he never beat me, never. So it was the class of 73 against class of 74. Two, I knew that, two. And from my standpoint, all was good because, I mean, there were some golfers there, and there were some not. I call it pretend golfers. But I made some money, and only one person had a better score than I did, and that was Steve Rosales. And he beat me by 2 strokes. So the next morning I woke up, and I could hear my brother saying to me, "What the hell happened? How did that happen?" And I'm still trying to work on that.
I am too.
Yes, sir. This has been a difficult year for the Lane family and for many of you. And we have moved through the holidays, Father's Day, birthdays, with some difficulty. And the next few weeks are going to be very challenging as we approach the 1-year anniversary. But I just want to say that I have been incredibly strengthened in my resolve as I have observed the courage and fortitude that Brian and Carol have shown this past year. They have been rocks of strength to each other and to our family and to many other people in the community. I believe that all of us here in this room who have been there with Carol and Brian know how much that is appreciated. I just have to tell you, it is. A small card, a small message, a drop by, how are you doing? Everybody gave them the right amount of space that one would need with the departing of a husband, a father, a friend. As many of you know, Brian will be getting married next year to Maria, and the Fasanos have been right there for Brian and Carol during this whole time. And their upcoming wedding in August next year, we know that Richie's going to be there. So just to say what we have done as a family this past year is to remember Richie's legacy. who he was and how he touched us. And for those who might have had a discussion in this room, hopefully you remember him, you remember Rich, when you were in that room. Thank you all for what you have done today to make the Lame family feel very special today. We are grateful for that and grateful to have Richie in our lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. All right, before I turn this over to Jamie to explain to you about the tours, and before I cut the cake, because as some of you know, these events are really all about the cake for me, we've got to cut the ribbons. So I need 2 people to hold the ends and 1 to cut. I'm going to ask Mike Smith to do the cutting, and if Roy and Judith could hold the 2 ends. Okay, there we go.
What an honor to be able to do that.
All right, thank you very much. All right, and now to show that I have somehow forgotten the chief and his speaking, but he's promised not to arrest me. So he's going to say a few words to you, then he's going to explain about the tours, and I'm really sorry.
Thank you, Emery. I'm Chief James MacIsaac. I'm going to turn my Boston accent on and speak real fast, so you're going to have to pay attention. When former Chief McLaughlin was hired in 2007, he let it be known to the then Select Board that replacing this building was a priority for the town. We had jail cells that were a high risk for injuring people and officers. We had a women's locker room that had no room in it. If we hired 1 more additional female last year, we would have had to have put their locker out in the hall. We had no elevator for, I'm going to get stung by a bee now. We had no elevator to take people to the 2nd floor, only 21 steps, and we had no handicap entrance to the building. So the chief began working hard to get that building done, and as Selectman Epstein said, we brought in a number of architects to kind of do small solutions, to put an elevator on the building here and there. And the chief and I, it's no secret, we're hoping that all those answers were going to come back. No, you can't do it, because we wanted a modern facility, preferably in its own location away from this area. And I still remember the day we were in the select board meeting room, and Ted Galante, the architect, walked in, and he looked at the chief, Chief McLaughlin. He said, "You're not going to like what I have to say." And we said, "What?" And he said, "You can stay in that building, and I can give you everything you need in that building." And that's where we went on from his presentation, and so it began, the construction. Having worked in municipal government for over 20 years, I've never been involved with the building project, and it was a learning experience for me. Little did I know that every Wednesday I was going to be tied up for about 3 hours discussing windows, doors, locks, cement, everything else that I had no idea what I was talking about. The commitment given by the volunteers on that committee, this building committee, was unbelievable. And on behalf of the employees at the BPD, I'd like to thank the members of the building committee, along with the residents who supported this project. And I'd like to thank Town Administrator Patrice Garvin for all her support and work in helping us ensure that the department's 2 moves in the overall project were a success. I think the backstory behind this is that we moved this police department twice. We moved it out once and moved it back once. And the employees at the Belmont Police Department and the officers at the Belmont Police Department were unbelievable throughout that process. Not a complaint, not anything. It was just unbelievable, and they deserve a lot of praise, and I thank them, all the employees at the Belmont Police Department. I'd like to thank Watertown Police Chief Mike Long, who's not here now, for housing our prisoners for over the last 20 months. And anyone that's been in law enforcement will tell you you're assuming a great deal of risk whenever you take somebody in and hold them in your place. It was one of the reasons we needed a new building here. And Chief Long didn't bat an eye. He said, "No problem, we'll do it as long as you have to." I learned that successful projects like this do not get over the finish line without the help of individual donors. For the people and businesses who quietly stepped forward to help put the finishing touches on this project, we at the Police Department are extremely grateful for your support and generosity. In closing, I would like to express my sincere appreciation and gratefulness to the members of the Belmont Town Meeting who took time over the last several years to tour our building and listen to our concerns. I can't thank you enough for supporting this project. This is a building that will last for at least 60 years and will serve the town well into the future. It'll provide a safe environment for guests to our building and a great working environment for officers. I thank you very much for coming out to show your support of this project, and everybody who supported the project in the past.
Thank you. And again, apologies, I'm in deep trouble here. Okay, what's going to happen now is that the Lane family is going to go into the Lane Cafe, and they're going to take some pictures in there. And I think I'm going to give them the clown scissors because they're going to be cutting a ribbon in there as well. We have some cake here. We're going to cut the cake, and then you're all invited to come in through this way to do the tours of the building. Jamie is going to tell you how those are going to work. I'm just going to remind you that you do have to put a face mask on when you're inside the building. Thank you.
Okay, we have face masks here if you need one. So what's going to happen is you're going to come in through the sally port, and we've basically unlocked all the doors. So you can walk in, you can see our booking area, you can go to the right and see our jail cells. And then when you leave, we'll show you how to get out. We have offices stationed throughout the building. Feel free to walk around the building and check out all the offices and different areas that you see in there. And you can go also down into the basement, see our storage and our garage. This parking deck right here is, underneath that parking deck is our garage, our 3-bay garage. So you can see the wonderful job that the architect did fitting everything into this tight spot. Thank you. You can take the elevator down, yeah? So, that's what we're going to go down.
This is James.
Hi, James.
He wants to be a police officer. He gets big. Whole thing.
All right, I like it.
Hey, Tom, do you know what I
It's if we collect evidence, like I was showing people that's an 18 machine that was stolen out of a business on Belmont Street. They stole the whole ATM out the window.
Oh, that was last week. I heard it on the scanner a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a little bit ago.
Yeah.
But we that's already been processed, so that's either going to be trashed or
Okay.
we don't leave real evidence here. Once we process it, we put it down the hall. Which I was telling, only 2 people have access to our actually evidence storage room because of chain of custody and stuff like that. How you doing? Yeah, you having fun today? Once you get out of here, you'll have fun. She's like, this is boring.
One of her cutting when she cuts. Everybody get their pictures? Okay, you ready? All right, ready, Deb? Here's the video. That's you, Jack. Okay. Take your mask off, dude.
I'll make it.
Yeah, you can take her mask off.
Okay, fantastic.